Hey, good morning, gang. This is Dave Cook. I'm sitting here in one of my remote offices, and I just thought I would spend a few minutes. I wanted to talk a little bit this morning. I tried this earlier in the 100 Pedals mobile studio, and I had a recording glitch, so I'm trying this with a new toy and a new approach, and hope this works. Anyway, yesterday I posted something about change and reflecting back on my experiences with adversity in my life when my son was engaged in activities and behaviors relating to his addiction, and my inability to influence or define a different outcome. And the more I worked at it and the more I tried and the harder I pressed on, et cetera, the more frustrated I got with the fact that he couldn't change what he was doing or how he was living or the journey that he was on. And with every failure, with every step, you know the story, but with every failure or step, I became more broken, more frustrated, more determined, more driven, more failure, more frustrated, more broken with every failure. And it was only when I realized that nothing was going to change until I changed. And it was a simple change, as changing how I lived my life, and found and made a determination that I needed to change who I was in my life, regardless of what choices he was making. And I'm spent some time talking about change, but I wanted to just make one point to give you some things to think about in this series or this segment. Is I chose to make a change because I needed to do something differently. And I chose to do something differently because I realized how broken my life was. And that was the motivation, and the driver behind it was not necessarily, there was the underlying thing, but at its core, the change was motivated by knowing that I needed to change my life because where I was, who I was, how I was living, what I was experiencing wasn't working for me. And I had to change that outcome. Now, again, I will have to admit that I was hoping that those changes would definitely have an influence on others around me. But when you're looking at your life and you don't like where you are, it's I'm struggling with the relationship, or I'm struggling with the behaviors of others, or I'm struggling with how people see me and interact and communicate with me. At its core, making changes in relation to that will help you, but if you're doing it so that they change how they interact, you're probably not doing change for any of the right reasons. Change is you're changing something for you because you know you need to do it for you. And that change, embracing that notion, is I'm changing how I eat so that I feel better about who I am, or I feel healthier, or stuff like that, is not the same as changing so that other people will see me in a different light. Because when you get motivated by that, you're looking for affirmation in your behaviors in other people, or changing how I communicate with somebody so that they behave with me or interact with me differently. You're tying your outcome to their behaviors, their something that you want them to change. When you do that, you're not in control of your change. You're actually ceding control of the change to somebody else. So as you're sitting here thinking about where I am in my life, what's working, what's not working, what I'd like to do differently, what I'd like to do better, and you start to contemplate change, the first thing I would encourage you to do, and this is the thought for the day, is what do you need, what would you desire to change in your life that's not working for you today as it relates to you, and what are the things that you can do differently or better as it relates to that? And how are you going to celebrate the progress you are making with you on that journey? That's the first step in change. And we'll come back again in a couple of days or next week and talk a little bit more about how you evolve into that change. But the first step is what do I need to do for me? What do I need to change for me that I know is going to take me from a place of where I am that I'm not happy with about me, the life I have, the life I'm living, how I feel about myself, whatever it is. How can I do things differently or better so that I start to celebrate a different outcome in my life, even if I'm not sure where that's going to go? But then at the same time, I kind of have a vision of what that looks like as you start to celebrate the changes that you are making in your life in relation to that, and tie it all back to it's, in a simple way, but it sounds kind of selfish. It's all about me. What do I need to do for me that's going to change how I feel about me or the things that I'm living in my life that I'm not happy with as it relates to me? Hope this helps, and we'll talk later. Thanks.